Daddy, I had a bad dream. You blink your eyes and pull up on your elbows. Your clock glows red in the darkness. It's 3:23. Do you want to climb into bed and tell me about it? No, Daddy. The oddness of the situation wakes you up more fully. You can barely make out your daughter's pale form in the darkness of your room. Why not, sweetie? Because in my dream, when I told you about the dream, the thing wearing Mummy's skin sat up. For a moment you feel paralyzed. You can't take your eyes off your daughter. Then, the covers behind you begin to shift. Look behind you. What do you see? Invariably, there will be a wall somewhere in your view. Now stare deeply into the space on the wall that lines up best with your eyes. Nothing will happen, but make sure you are clear on where this particular spot is. That spot contains all the negativity in your mind. Whenever you are on your computer, reading scary stories or whatever you do, sometimes you will get spooked. What do you do when this happens? You check behind you. That's what you do. As you read this now, a feeling of dread will come over you. Check the spot. Nothing again, huh? That's because right now, all the evil is locked safely in your mind. Some people, upon learning of this negative spot, resolve to remove the spot in an attempt to remove the negative energy. This is a grave mistake. You must never let harm come to this spot. If you do, you'll have released the energy. Now when you sit at your computer at night, you will feel chills even in the summer. The feeling of dread that only presented itself when you were genuinely scared will now hang in the air constantly. Within a week, you and your loved ones will have a string of bad luck. Within a month, your computer will begin to act erratic and eventually break down. On the anniversary of the spot's destruction, you will dream of your most horrible fears. The dream will seem to go on forever, and when you wake up, you will notice your vision is darkened. Every year on the same day, the dream will repeat itself, and your vision will grow darker and darker. After you go completely blind, don't ever turn your back on that spot again. That is, if you can still tell where it is. You know when you're falling asleep and you suddenly get the feeling that you've tripped? Your body lurches forward in an instant, ready to protect you instinctively from injury. You can almost see the ground rising to meet you. This occurs when the boundaries between you and the other you in an alternate universe are weakest. This is the feeling that happens when another you dies. Driving home at night, you notice that all the lights in your house are on. As you park the car, they all turn off at the same time. The house is empty and the doors are locked from the inside. You check your watch. The big hand is on the 4 and the little hand is on the 1. You'll be late for work. At work, you find an email in your inbox. The sender is yourself. Puzzled, you open the email you apparently sent to yourself. Inside is the message, the out for watch. You look at your watch. The little hand is on the 4 and the big hand is on the 1. You look back at the screen. The fourth and first words have swapped places. Watch out for the watch. You look at your watch again. Your watch is digital. You wake up after a wild night of partying to find that while you were wasted, for some reason, you have a crude, smiley face tattooed on your foot. You write it off as a lesson to never drink that much again. The next time you wake, however, you discover the face is now on your ankle, and it's not as crudely drawn. The day after that, it's on your lower leg, and it's starting to look more like a drawing of a real face. As it continues to move up, becoming more realistic looking, you wonder what happens when it reaches your own face. You'd fallen asleep to late-night television, but curiously woke up to the sounds of the static playing on the TV. As you sit up rubbing your eyes, you read the scrawling words of the emergency broadcast system. This is just a test. This is just a test. This is just a test. You glance at the clock. 3:33. Yawning, the television catches your eye, and as you watch, the EBS says something different. This is just a test. This is just a test. You are being watched. This is just a test. On any night with a crescent moon, open Winamp or any other music program you might have on your computer that has a shuffle program. Empty your mind and keep clicking the forward button. If you're rather unlucky, a song named I'm Your Problem Now .mp3 will start playing. For the first minute, it'll be completely silent. Close your eyes when the screams start, and do not open them for any reason. Horrible imagery will fill your mind of corpses and imaginable evil. This will happen as a full 7 minutes of this song's horrible symphony of screams and sounds continue. If you make it through those torturous 7 minutes, you will wake up on a bench in a deserted Greyhound station. A faceless man at the other end of the station will offer you a cigarette. If you don't accept it, your eyes will open and the song will be gone and no time will have passed. If you choose to accept it, however, this man will divulge to you the secrets of life. After you're done smoking, take the ticket out of his pocket and board the bus coming into the station. You will awake back in your house, and exactly 12 minutes will have passed since you started listening. The problem is that anyone who survived the song goes insane from the information they've just learned. Be warned, should you succeed, through any polished surface, be it mirror, wood, or window, your reflection will always be watching. Yesterday, a friend of mine called me. It was a John, an old buddy from high school. I hadn't spoken with him for years, and we started to reminisce about all the crap we pulled in high school. A few days later, I decided to call him back and see if we could get together, maybe go fishing or something. We talked on the phone for a while, and I said to him, "Hey, maybe we should get together sometime." He first said that was a bad idea, but then he agreed. I asked him for an address, copied it down, and told him I'd see him in the morning. The next morning I arrived at the place he said he lived at. There was nothing but rubble there. It looked like there had been a fire there years ago, but nothing got cleaned up, and the plants never regrew. In the middle of the rubble I found an old rotary-style telephone on the floor, not connected to anything. Hurriedly I pulled out my cell phone and called his number. The telephone on the floor rang. Once, twice, a third time. I dropped my cell phone in shock and knelt to grab the rotary telephone. A voice drenched in distortion and hiss said, "I told you this was a bad idea." I'd had them ever since I was a kid. I can remember being incredibly self-conscious of them, hiding them in my pockets, under books and bags. The kids at school never said anything to my face, but I knew they were all laughing behind my back. I remember asking my parents to take me to the doctor to get them checked out. The growths on my hands seemed to be the elephant in the room back then, since they just say I was fine and change the subject, but I knew better. I had tried to remove them as a child, but without avail. Scissors, knives, potato peelers. Trying to cut or scrape them off was always a lost cause, because I couldn't continue once the pain kicked in. But today was different. It's amazing how numb you can get with a couple of tourniquets and a bottle of Jack Daniels. I was originally planning to use a sharp knife, but I figured that trying to slice through the tough flesh of the growths would be too hard in my drunken state, so I opted for the slightly more technological Plan B. I had to hurry though. I was already getting pretty lightheaded and starting to feel dizzy. My hands and forearms nearly blew from the lack of circulation. Couldn't wait much longer either. The whirring of the blender helped to put me in a sort of trance, ready to do what I had wanted to do since I first looked down at my strange deformities. I shoved my left hand in first. The immediate sensation of sharp blades slicing through flesh was jarring, but I was surprised at how well the alcohol was working. I expected it to hurt more. I could hear the sharp metal churning and cutting, working perfectly as planned. I pressed my hand down harder. All those bad memories, all of the embarrassment, all of those horrible things were now nothing more than a thick red pulp. Breaking from the feelings of ecstasy, I pulled out before the blades hit knuckle. I smiled, taking a good look at my new hand. As for the growths, well, 5 down, 5 to go. Number 1. No, I need the cops. In 2013, Brandon Lawson, 26, was living in San Angelo, Texas, with his longtime girlfriend and their 4 children. The oil field worker had found a new, more better stable job with better hours, and was set to start soon. But then Brandon didn't come home on the night of August the 7th. This led to an argument with Ladessa, his girlfriend, on the evening of August the 8th. He had dealt with drug issues in the past, and had recently relapsed, so Brandon staying out all night was cause for concern. At around 11:53 p.m., Brandon grabbed his cell phone, a charger, his keys, and his wallet and left. His pickup was low on gas. Before long, Brandon called his father, Brad, and asked to stay with him for the night. Brad said that Brandon was welcome, but since the former lived 3 hours away in Crawley, he advised Brandon to go back home and work things out with Ladessa. A few minutes later, Ladessa called Brandon and suggested that he go stay with his brother Kyle, if he was still angry and didn't want to come back home. Kyle lived only 5 minutes away. Brandon must not have been into the idea, because Ladessa then called Kyle, saying she was worried about Brandon. At 12:34 and 12:36 a.m., Brandon tried to call Ladessa, but she didn't answer either time. At 12:38, he called Kyle. Stop! Stop! Stop!
Hey, Daddy. Hey. Hi, Shelby. Hi.
Okay, hi.
How are you?
I'm sick. In almost every building, there is one corner, one small enclosure that no one ever looks at. It's the corner in the basement that has been blocked by a disused sofa for years. The thin space in the attic between the wall and the stacks and stacks of crates, full of junk, you never use, but could never throw away. The space that never sees the light of day, or any other kind of light at all, where darkness does not merely dominate, but practically oozes out from around the edges of its prison. No one knows quite how long a space must remain concealed for to acquire this particular property, nor if there is any specific conditions it must meet. But it is a far more common occurrence than you might think. In newer buildings, when this happens, the residents often report feeling cold when passing by, even in attics during the hottest of summers. Whenever contemplating taking a quick peek to see if there's anything actually there, an unnatural dread seizes them, and they leave the room quickly, if not quite running. Once left behind, the feeling passes, and it's quickly forgotten or laughed off. What actually happens in these forgotten sanctuaries of the dark, it is impossible to tell. For while many such corners have been exposed to reveal absolutely nothing, some brave souls have lost their sanity through nothing more than an ill-timed glance. The safest thing to do when encountered with such a phenomenon: close your eyes, rip away the areas covering in a single motion, then keep a tight hold on what you've pulled away. No matter what you hear or feel, do not get up, do not look around, and do not try to cover your ears. You might be one of the lucky ones.
Thank you guys so much for listening. If you enjoyed what you heard, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. But I've been just plain creepy, and I'll catch you in the next video.